The White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce and On Location TV 19 are proud to present Your Business Matters, dedicated to your business needs. The White Bear Area Chamber is a nonprofit business organization serving as an advocate for the White Bear area and its business community. Now, here is the Executive Director of the White Bear Area Chamber and the host of Your Business Matters, Tom Snell.
Welcome to Your Business Matters, brought to you by the White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce. Each month we interview community leaders and local business owners so you can be informed about the developments in our community. This month I'm pleased to welcome Marnie McPherson, head of school for the White Bear Montessori School. Marnie and I will discuss innovative learning approaches by the Montessori educational system and more about her school. So thank you very much for joining me today on Your Business Matters.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to ask you is just a little bit about the White Bear Montessori School. When was it founded? Do you have an idea about when it was founded, and why did it take place in the beginning? What was the parent involvement and why Montessori?
Okay. White Bear Montessori was founded in 1970 at the Presbyterian Church on Bloom Avenue here in White Bear. And it was created by a group of parents who wanted an authentic Montessori option for their children.
Okay.
So it was parent initiated.
Okay, so it's parent initiated. You say a Montessori option for their students or for their children. Mm-hmm. Now, did it start out, first of all, as just for pre-kindergarten students, or did it go beyond that?
So most Montessori schools focus on the younger age child,
right.
Typically the preschool age children. Montessori schools call those environments either a casa or a children's house. So
what's that again?
Casa.
What casa meaning?
Italian for home or house.
Okay, all right.
And we call ours the children's house. And so that's a mixed-aged environment for children 2.5 through the kindergarten year. So ideally children are spending 3, maybe even 4 years in the same environment with the same teacher and growing through the classroom.
But when it started, it was just for younger
age.
kids.
Yep.
Okay. And since then, it's grown beyond that, correct?
Correct. In 1998, we purchased the current building that we're in now on LeBour and County Road E, and we have 2 toddler classrooms, 2 children's house classrooms, and then our elementary program goes through 6th grade.
Okay. And what age can a toddler take part in your Montessori program?
We enroll at 16 months.
Ooh, so just a little over a year.
Right. So they need to be walking.
Okay.
Basically.
So you have to they have to be able to walk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so the other things, and so a parent can use that as I don't like to use the word daycare, but it's a learning center.
Right. We see ourselves as a school, and most parents with children at 16 months aren't thinking school, they're thinking childcare.
Right, right.
And so we offer an authentic Montessori childcare environment. The younger a child starts in Montessori, the more successful they're going to be in the long term as far as letting the curriculum impact them for life.
Interesting.
So we really suggest families consider Montessori at the toddler age or at least by age 3 when they start the preschool children's house.
What is Montessori? That is the real critical. And why do you think that it's important for the learning and development of everything from toddlers to young adults?
Montessori was created in 1907 by Maria Montessori, who was Italian, and she was the first physician doctor in Italy, woman physician doctor.
Okay.
And she created the classroom environment specifically at that time for children with special needs and children in poverty situations. As she learned more about what children were capable of and experimented with different materials, and experimented with freedom, giving the children freedoms and giving them very, very clear boundaries. She developed this whole program. So Montessori has been around for 100 years. Unfortunately, Maria never trademarked her name, so you could have Tom's Montessori Daycare in your home and have none of the Montessori curriculum available.
Oh, okay, say that again. So there's no, the name is not...
No. It's not trademarked. So
Oh, wow.
unfortunately, anyone can open a Montessori school and use that name. So parents looking for Montessori really need to do a little bit of homework and make sure
Okay,
that
all
the
right.
school that they're researching has trained staff.
Yeah.
Ideally is a school that's recognized by an accrediting body. So
Does the Montessori have an accredited body here in the States then?
yes, worldwide there's two organizations, AMS and AMI.
Okay.
We are an AMI school, so if you were to go to our school or Redlands in California or a school in Japan or London that was AMI, we would look absolutely the same inside.
The same type of curriculum.
The materials would be identical. The way the staff were trained would be identical. So we're not innovative, and that's unique in the world of education right now, where everybody wants to be innovative.
Right.
We're probably better described as orthodox because we haven't changed things in 100 years.
And I was going to bring that up because it seems that, and let me explain what I mean by innovative too. It seems that every few years you have different education standards that come up, or different ideas for education. It could be Common Core, it could be some of the other venues that preceded, and they just pop up and come across as an answer to some of the educational issues that were faced. Now, you mentioned something really interesting, that Montessori has been around for, what, 100 years?
More, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And what I want to do, when I say the word innovative, what I'm really trying to address is the differences. What are some areas that would make a Montessori education experience different than what a student might get at a traditional school environment?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll show you right off the bat in our toddler
Great.
program, we're giving them the real world at their level.
Okay.
So I'm not aware of any other program that would offer a 16-month-old an opportunity to set their table, to pour milk into a glass
Oh my
for
goodness.
themselves. To usually they haven't used a fork and spoon yet, so they're coming to us and we're teaching them how to use that. How to drink out of a cup, how to eat off your own plate, how to sit in a chair that you're not buckled into, and then when
a
you're done,
16-year-old, not buckled into
no,
a chair.
16-month-old, right?
16. Yeah, I'm sorry, 16-year-old. Yeah, even for that, maybe you need to be buckled into a chair. But
Right.
for a 16-month-old, sitting in a chair that is not buckled in, and do they actually pick up the utensils, or
It's a
do you
process.
do that for them?
Nope. We'll often stand behind them. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're hungry. We'll let them eat with their hands, but we're going to help them and introduce that,
Wow.
that small
Wow.
motor, fine motor.
Yeah.
And then when they're done, we show them how to bust their dishes. So that's
Somebody,
at 16
a
months.
child that's 2 years old, you tell them, you
We show
start
them.
a process
show them.
on cleaning the dishes.
Right. So it's
Oh my
practical
goodness.
life. It's how to operate in an adult world with adult things, but with materials that are built for their little hands.
So is Montessori more of a hands-on type of approach to
Absolutely.
educating these toddlers anyway?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so that's what this is. How about some of the other items that are on the table here?
So this material is in our children's house, which again is the preschool age. It's called the cylinder blocks, and almost every material in the classroom has a reason for being there and then an indirect reason for being there.
Yeah.
This is pretty obvious what a child would do. It's height, depth, perception. There's a number of these in the room. The child doesn't need an adult to tell them that this doesn't work. So the materials are self-correcting. They don't need to rely on adults. And then also the tops of the cylinders are built to show the child how to hold a pencil, the correct pincer grip. So
And how old do they start?
2.5.
Oh, wow.
3. So when they go to hold a pencil, their hand has already been trained using what they feel is a puzzle game. And they already have the right, they're not holding it like this.
Yeah.
So this is actually preparation for writing. at a very young age.
Wow.
And so everything in our
Wow.
room has that slant to it. It looks like a puzzle, but it's really building towards math. It looks like just doing flower arranging,
Yeah,
but there's 30 steps to flower
Okay.
arranging, and it's a process they have to remember.
Well, this is really interesting, and we're going to continue our discussion on these items. But we're going to take a brief break. Now I have a quick announcement about an important chamber happening that will take place on the 17th of November. The White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce will hold its annual legislative reception at Hillcrest Golf Course, located at 2200 East Larpenter Avenue from 5 to 7 p.m. Typically, 100% of the White Bear Area Legislative Delegation shows up. This event is free to attend. Appetizers will be served along with a cash bar. Please visit the Chamber website for more information. With me is Marnie McPherson, head of school for the White Bear Montessori School. And we were talking earlier about some of these artifacts that are on the table and how they relate to the Montessori education. We talked about the table setting, and I think that is absolutely incredible to have toddlers learning how to eat like that. And then we went a little bit into this venue. What are some of the other items that you've got on the table? What is this?
That is one of our dressing frames, and it's just the zipper frame, and that is in our toddler classroom and in our preschool rooms. And again, it's a part of the area of the room. An area in the room is called practical life, and so zippers are practical life. Children
Yes.
need to learn how to do zippers and buttons and snaps and bows, and so our dressing frames teach them all of those different skills.
So they can learn how to zip and unzip something.
Yeah.
And this is what that is.
Right.
So, okay.
So these are materials that are, I would say, maybe not so academic in nature.
Yeah.
And then once the child is showing some signs and readiness for language and math learning, then we start introducing them to those materials.
So the primary math learning process and some of the writing skills, for example, or some of the higher learning skills, when does that start to take place in the Montessori environment?
That's what's so beautiful about Montessori, is it's whenever the child happens to show they're ready. So some children, it could be kindergarten, and they're 5. Some children could be 4. So we definitely have some 4-year-olds who are readers.
You know, I mean, people talk about that, but that's really kind of a unique experience because the way that traditional education is set up, you're in kindergarten and you learn this. You're in first grade, you learn this. You're in second grade, you learn this.
Right.
And so it's based on a number of people being in a room and learning things based on what they're supposed to know at that particular time. Whereas it seems like Montessori, from what you explained, is more of a person's on their own learning journey. Would that be a good way to put it?
Right. Well, they're certainly not alone, but they definitely feel empowered because they have some choices. So the teacher in the room, the guide that we call them, guides them through the materials and shows them the curriculum and introduces, the next challenge. And then if something is clearly a challenge for them, then they'll back off and let that child repeat and work on some other things, and then they'll go back to that at another time. We want learning to be really fun. We don't want it to feel hard. We want there to be a challenge, but we also don't want the child to collapse under that challenge. So it's self-paced in that we're really following the child.
So we talked a little bit about toddlers in your school, and then we talked a little bit about it goes into like some of the preschool stuff. From what ages does your Montessori program go from
Our school
when to
goes
when?
through 6th grade.
Oh,
so
okay.
we have and that again is a mixed aged environment. So we have 1st graders in the same room with our 6th graders.
Why would that be?
Because again, they're learning at their own pace. So we have a 2nd grader who's doing 5th grade math, but doing 2nd grade reading. And so it helps to have a peer doing that challenging math that the 2nd grader can work with.
Do the students ever collaborate, like a 6th grader might be helping a 1st grader?
All the time. All the time. So in the preschool environment, children like to work near each other, but they don't know how to cooperate very well. They like to parallel play. As they become kindergarten, they like to work together in small groups, and so the work becomes that way. And then elementary is all group.
Now, some parents may be concerned about this one issue. So you go up or through the 6th grade, then they go into junior high. They've been learning this Montessori process maybe from the time that they were 16 months old.
Sure.
Then they go into a brand new system.
Right.
How do they adapt? And what is what have you learned about students being able to adapt from the Montessori model to a more traditional public school model?
Sure. They transition actually very well. Our children that move on from our elementary typically do go to a traditional environment afterwards, and they understand that the rules are different. They understand that the game has changed. So they're prepared to be surprised. Usually the lunchroom can be intimidating because we still have lunch in our classrooms with our teacher up through 6th grade. So there's very little opportunity for inappropriate conversation. And so that can be surprising for children. I've had many alumni children come back and tell me that the thing they were most surprised about was how their peers were so disrespectful to the adults. How their peers were disrespectful to the adult. Because at our school, they learned how to do that when they were 3. So grace and courtesy.
That's really interesting.
Right. How to respect each other, how to talk to an adult. Our children make eye contact, shake hands with adults every morning on their way in and every day on their way out.
Wow.
And so there's a level of respect in how to have a conversation with an adult, how to listen, how to follow direction, and it's all based around respect. So that is actually what children struggle with the most, is that shock of, I can't believe they speak to the teacher that way, or I can't believe they still speak to each other in this way.
Now, what happens if a parent wants a student to go to the Montessori program and maybe they've got, I don't want to get too much into these definitions, but what's called attention deficit disorder, where they want to do a number of things and they can't stay focused on something for too long a period of time, or some of the other challenges that some of the young students can have. Can Montessori address any of those issues appropriately?
Sure. There's always going to be a population of children that we can't support just because we are a small school and we don't have paras.
Yes.
However, the classroom environment is really set up to help a child like with ADD thrive, because we don't require them to sit. They can choose to work at a table, they can choose to work at a small shelf, they can choose to work on a working mat on the floor, and they can move their body the whole day. So no one's telling them to sit still. And that's actually why my family found Montessori 9 years ago, was because I knew I had a very wiggly 4-year-old boy, and I didn't want to be told that he couldn't sit because he's a wiggly 4-year-old boy.
Yes.
And he worked on the floor until 3rd grade, until he decided he could work at a table. And that worked great. And so we took that conflict out of his day. So then he was successful with so many other things.
And you've got students that will go to your school and that have that maybe fit into that category or whatever it would be called.
Right.
Now, you also mentioned that this is a very parent-driven operation. And what are some of the things that parents get involved in with the Montessori school that you have?
Well, first and foremost, we really ask our parents to become Montessorians themselves and learn how to adjust their home to support the child so that their home life and their school life can be in sync. If they're not allowed to set the table at home, but they're setting it at school, that can be that can cause some challenge.
Wow.
Then we are a nonprofit 501c3, so my staff report to me, but I report to a board.
Yes.
And our board of trustees is mostly made out of parents. We currently have a number of alumni parents on our board. So the parents that really want to get involved usually become board chairs or board members. Otherwise, we have a number of different ways they can volunteer.
And how many students are in the White Bear Montessori School right now?
Currently, we have 96.
That's a pretty healthy number for the size of your school building, and I understand you went through some renovations recently.
We did. We introduced a new playground, so our toddler and our children's house space is brand new, and then we also put out some new elementary equipment as well.
And I've been there, by the way, and I think it's really worth going into and taking a look at how you process and what your students do in the school. And I'm wondering if a parent that might be interested, can they contact your school and have an opportunity to go and visit?
Absolutely. So we don't do open houses like many traditional schools.
Yes.
We do personal tours. So we want the family to come. I want to speak with them. I want to have them sit in the classroom and observe for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Then I want to ask what their questions are, take them on a tour.
And how does somebody get a hold of you or find out more about the White Bear Montessori School?
A great place to start is our website, which is www.wbms.org. And then after taking a look at that, giving us a phone call. We're at 651-429-3710. And we'll go from there.
And they can start as early as 1.5 years old, as long as the student can walk.
Correct.
All right. So, thank you, Marnie McPherson, for joining me today. I'm Tom Snell. Thank you for watching Your Business Matters.
You've been watching Your Business Matters. For more information on this program or the White Bear Area Chamber, visit whitebearchamber.com or call 651-429-8593.